all so much for tuning into the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm here with Craig and Petey. All three of us already have our feet on the table to start. Is
that a bad sign on a Tuesday?
I think it's just July.
Are you sick? I think it's the heat.
Oh, the heat.
Buddy, I am so I know I tell everybody in the Midwest, we can handle the heat. Uncle, no.
July and August suck here.
I'm done.
I feel like I should have worn black like you guys because I should be in mourning. Although
we matched again.
I can just say I'm feeling blue because, my original NHL man crush is retiring today.
Yeah, we wore black as the funeral of his career. We coordinated without you. I'm sorry.
Thanks for the text.
Yeah, we're going to...
That's how it works around here, by the way. I'm cut out of communication. Sean knows how I feel, though.
Oh, my goodness.
Sean. Yeah, our 4-person show. Yeah.
Okay.
Sean gets it all the time. Mostly from you guys, though, not from me.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do today is do an expansion on some of the questions as part of Craig's mailbag. How many questions did you get?
What did I come up with? 70-something, low 70s.
Okay, because you made only one
Limiting
question.
people to one. Like 5 people cheated, by the way, and asked 2 questions anyway. Calling you out. You know who you are. It's pretty obvious if you look at the mailbag. We might even get to one of those people today. But yeah, still over 70 questions, which tells me, I need to limit this to 1 question per person. Otherwise, it'll take me a week to do my mailbag.
Yep. So we are going to expand on a handful of hand-selected mailbag questions on this show today. So buckle up. But before we begin with that, let's talk about Patrice Bergeron. The news dropped around 7 a.m.
You have tissues?
This morning. I have to say his retirement letter was one of the best retirement announcements I've ever seen or read. Paragraphs upon paragraphs, each paragraph dedicated to thanking a different group or people or person in his life. I mean, freaking end of an era. I feel sad, and I'm not even a Boston Bruins fan. I can't imagine how Bruins fans are feeling today, but end of an era.
It is the end of an era. And what's sad is we saw what Boston did last season during the regular season, and I thought it would be such a capper to his career to get his second cup. He got one, so you can't say he didn't win, but it sort of would have felt like validation. Imagine going out on top like that for Patrice Bergeron. Of course, we saw what happened in the playoffs, but it does not diminish the career of such an unconventional superstar, legit superstar, in my opinion.
You look at that playoff run, and it's interesting you mentioned that. They were up 3-1 on the Florida Panthers. They needed to win that series. They win that series. Who knows what happens from there? That was the best built team in the league all season long. We all said it. They had that mix of young and old and fast and defensive, and they did everything, but it was all led by Patrice Bergeron. And that is the consummate captain leader of a franchise. We talk about Shane Doan here. Well, that's Patrice Bergeron, not just of the Boston Bruins, but in the league. That's what a leader looks like. They do things the right way. They're a good person. They lead from example. We were talking about this before the show, and it's if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's a problem.
There's a big problem.
He is the Boston Bruins, and you talk about some of their greatest: Phil Esposito, Bobby Orr. Patrice Bergeron's in that same breath. And so I think it's a bad, sad day for the NHL when they lose a player like this that carries the torch for so long. And he was part of that 2003 draft class that you guys redrafted a few weeks ago. And he's the best draft class in the history of the game. And he's a part of it for a reason.
And he was number 1.
You guys drafted him number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, almost makes you cry just a little bit.
I know.
Didn't the Coyotes pick? No, never mind. That's a whole nother episode. But this is where you wonder what's going to happen to the Boston Bruins franchise. Now, you would have loved to see in the script, the Mighty Ducks Hollywood script where Patrice Bergeron wins the Stanley Cup and retires. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But now you've got to see where we all thought, well, I did for sure, that I thought Boston's window had closed already. I thought they were too old. Well, now they've got to turn the page, and it's not quite starting over. They've still got a really good lineup and a really good team in Boston, but this is a new era.
That's a giant hole.
Yeah. And do they name a captain? I don't think you can you?
You mean go a season without?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, and it's more than just the on-ice stuff. It's the off-ice stuff too, and just the impact that he has on that team. So it'll be interesting to see how they move forward without him. And it just feels like a turning of a page in the NHL, as we talked about that 2003 draft class, and we went into detail on it 2 weeks ago when we did the redraft, but more and more players from that draft class are retiring. I mean, it was 20 years ago, and it just kind of feels like a new era in the NHL, and it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
And he's, you look at as a defensive forward, and Craig talked about this too, and he's won the Selke Award 6 times, an NHL record setting. There are very few players that are that well-rounded 200-foot player that does it at both ends of the ice.
I really wish the NHL would modernize some of its trophy names. I don't think you have to pay homage to deep history with every one of these trophies. When a player this special comes along, reward him with that kind of honor, and he's the kind of player that deserves that kind of honor. And like you said, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not a point-per-game player. Patrice Bergeron was not a guy who consistently put up big point seasons. He had really productive seasons, but not what you'd expect from a number one center, right? He's not putting up gaudy numbers. But what he did at the defensive side of the puck hasn't been matched. He's the best defensive forward I have ever watched.
Yep. And as many people were tweeting today, they should rename the Selke after Patrice Bergeron, and perhaps they will. So, Patrice.
The forward-thinking NHL.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Patrice Bergeron, on a fantastic career. And just a reminder, the Coyotes finally beat the Boston Bruins this year. Okay, moving on. All right, we're going to get into some mailbag questions here. And before we get into it, so the D-Back Show, they do a Mailbag Monday every single Monday. Also, so does the CHGO Blackhawks show. And yesterday, PHNX Sun said, you know what, we're going to do a Mailbag Monday. And we said, you know what? We're going to be different, and we're going to do a Mailbag Tuesday.
Yeah, that's totally different theme than a mailbag. It's totally different. Totally different.
So
it's because it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
it's not on a Monday.
Not only are we borrowing the idea, we're going to borrow the whole thing. Without further ado, it's Mailbag Tuesday.
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox, and then once in a while there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow. My mailbox, always
take that, Derek.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is why we love Sean DePaz, because this was all his ideas.
It's totally
throw this together. I threw so much shit at Sean this morning to get ready for the show. And he's like, hey, let's do something else. I'm like, okay, sure.
But I just want to show how different it is. And our D-Back show it's just different. It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday,
it is
obviously.
Tuesday.
Very creative of us, I think.
I feel like it's worth noting that since the D-Backs have a takeover tonight, we did a post-game show yesterday, so we are doing a mailbag today. So we are also doing a mailbag Tuesday.
Ours was first.
But yours was first.
Okay.
And now you can reuse that graphic again.
And the difference between our mailbag and the other mailbags is this is based off of Craig's mailbag, which is on gophnx.com right now. Is it for diehards only?
It is for diehards only.
It is for diehards only.
71 questions to answer your earlier question.
Yeah, you must be a diehard to read the answers to all 71, but we are taking a handful today to expand upon on the show, create, a little bit more discussion that maybe Craig could type out in multiple paragraphs, or maybe he just didn't want to. I'm just kidding.
I didn't want to, write 9,000 words.
Exactly. So we're going to have a discussion about some of the ones that can warrant a discussion. So without further ado, let's start with our first mailbag question from Loyal Sif. And they ask, there's a lot of smoke around the Coyotes trying to sign Matt Dumba, but is he a guy that this team should be trying to sign right now in their stage of the rebuild?
I'll let you guys go first on all of these, because I've obviously answered all of these in my own voice already.
Petey?
Well, we talked about the weaknesses in this team when we talked about the lineup yesterday, and one of them is at defense. I think they need to make an upgrade there, and I nice guys. We're not criticizing the guys, but if they want to compete, and they talked about they're making a step forward, I think they need to defend a little bit better than what they have on the ice right now. I think with Matt Dumba, we always talk about improving there. He's a right-handed defenseman. I think
another righty.
Yeah, another righty. I
Crazy,
can't believe
right?
It is crazy. This team could end up with 4 or 5 right-handed defensemen in the lineup. So I do think Matt Dumba is an upgrade, and I do think he helps pull some of these younger guys. He's 29 years old.
Yep.
He's a veteran guy that's already played nearly 600 games in the league that can help players like Moser and Valimaki, help them guide their way through the league. And he's a little different player. We talk about veteran guys. Stetcher's now become a veteran guy. Brown's become a veteran defenseman, but they're not Matt Dumba. They don't play the same role, the same minutes, the same player that Matt Dumba can help Mosier and JJ Valimaki come along. So I do think he fits. The one concern I have is this team is built around players that want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a player that doesn't want to be there and is unhappy there is a problem. So if he really wanted to be here, I think he may be here now. So if you're going to sign him, he better be fully committed. Yeah, I want to put it in the work. I want to be the guy here. But I think from the defensive standpoint, I think he helps push this rebuild faster.
Yeah, and I think if he were to sign here, it's not like it's a 5-year thing, because that I think would be a little bit more questionable.
They won't do that.
Yeah, it sounded like maybe it would be more of a 1 year, and I think that would be a good situation. We saw like similar to what Zucker signed, a 1-year deal, kind of a trial run for those guys to, have good career years. For Dumba, he's coming off of the worst season of his career. He could have come here and played a huge role, because if you watched our show yesterday, the defensive depth is maybe lacking a little bit. Or
there's a hole there for a guy like Matt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in the sense, and you made a good point about people who want to be here, but I think if it was a 1-year deal, then 100%, I think it would be fine.
Yeah.
If it was any longer, then I would think, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, 1 or 2 years for me is the max. You don't go beyond that, and I don't think they'll go beyond that anyway. You mentioned the 1 year prove it, though. I mean, you look at the cap situation. The cap is expected to go up significantly next season, so that's why you're seeing a lot of the situations you're seeing around the NHL right now. He could cash in if he has a big season with greater opportunity in Arizona. I'd forgotten who gave me this information, and so I want to give him a shout out, because I finally found it this morning. I had talked to Mike Rousseau about his season last season. Mike Rousseau, of course, covers the Wild for The Athletic, and as I said in the mailbag, I think he's a guy who can bridge the gap to the point where their top prospects are maybe ready to at least debut in the NHL. And that would obviously mean more than 1 year. Maybe he signs 2 years, but we'll see if it even materializes. But as Mike said, he was very good defensively in the second half of last season after a brutal start. Very competitive guy who likes to go for open ice hits, a true energy guy on and off the ice. So when you're talking about a guy who, does he want to be here? I think it's clear that Matt Dumba would prefer other options, but I don't get the sense that if another team isn't able to clear space, that he's going to come here and pout because he has to play for Arizona. It doesn't sound like that's his character anyway. He's not the offensive guy that he was before he tore his pec in 2018, but you and I have talked about this. I think he'd probably still be the quarterback of the second power play unit, so I think there's still value there. We talked about struggling to put someone on the right side on the second pair. He seems to fit there. It seems to be a hole where they could slide him in. So again, I think this is a long shot. I think he's waiting for other teams to maybe make moves and clear cap space. If it's San Jose, I don't get it at all. It's really weird to me what San Jose is doing. They should be bottoming out as well as they can, even if they get rid of Erik Karlsson. But I just don't. I don't think it's necessarily a bad situation for Matt Dumba to come here. I don't see any negatives if it's on a short-term contract.
The only thing that I'll say as a negative is it too soon to be putting these kind of players on the ice? And when I say these players, I mean Zucker and Kerfoot and Dumba and this team. Are they getting better too quickly? And I think we'll
get to that.
Yeah, that's a later question.
So that's the only thing that concerns me.
Yep. All right, let's move on to question 2. This one comes from Nick Borick.
It's a 2-part question.
Yes.
You cheated,
Sneaky.
Nick. I'm just going to say it. You cheated.
But this is a fun one.
So you didn't read directions.
We probably should have thought about this.
What?
I probably should have put more thought into this.
I mean, this one's there's not a lot of thought that needs to go into this.
This is great because I did think about this.
If you could bring back one player from the Coyotes past in their prime, who would it be? And if you could take a player from the current Coyotes team and put them on a past Coyotes team, which team and which season?
Well, from the past to here, that gives you a lot of options. You could look at a number 1 center, like a Jeremy Roenick, and get the flash and dash, would help sell tickets. Could play with Clayton Keller. I like that. You look at a Keith Tkachuk that was an old-time NHLer, hard driving power forward, gets to the net again. I'm thinking a little different. And if I want to go with a defenseman, because I think they need a defenseman right now. And I think they need a quiet leadership, a guy that does things right on and off the ice. I want to bring back Teppo Numminen. I thought about Shane Doan because he could have played in every era. But right now I thought Teppo Numminen could be that quiet leader that does things the right way. that can lead by example and can help all of these young guys progress with development. So I'm taking Teppo Numminen.
We got Leah.
I mean, my gut was saying Shane Doan just because, like,
I like it.
Never a bad choice.
you just can't go wrong. I know it's like such a boring, easy answer, but I just you look at the youth movement with this team, and I know it would be his prime, so he would be technically younger. But I mean, even at a young age, Shane Doan's been a leader, and I think he would have been a great person in the locker room to help lead this next generation of players to a good place.
And if you're going to take Shane Doan, I would take like the 2009 to 2012 Shane Doan.
Yeah.
And when he was that year he got injured against Detroit in the playoffs, he was
one-man wrecking crew.
Absolute beast. That's the best hockey he ever played in his career, and he's just going for a loose puck and trips over the goalie.
Yeah.
And
to avoid the goalie too.
Yeah, and it's too bad because he was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there were moments in his career where you looked at Shane Doan and go, wow, he's really good. That playoff series, he's like, oh my God, this guy is unreal.
Second half?
Well, who'd you pick for that one?
Well, I'll give both my answers, but who's your player from the current Coyotes that goes? And
That's hard because I think the game has changed so much. And you look at Clayton Keller going back to 2012. Could they have used a player like Clayton Keller? But yeah, they could use more goal scoring. I'm not sure with the clutching and grabbing in 2012 that Clayton Keller would have excelled there. So you look at more of a player. I was looking at Jack McBain, and I'd like to send Jack McBain back to 2012 because I think he would have been the prototypical 2012 Coyote player. Big, gets to the net, plays hard, can fight if you need him to, but he can also add offense and he can kill penalties.
Be a matchup center, yeah.
So I'd take Jack McBain back to 2012, and just that one piece maybe helps get you over. I would also drop him back, Jack McBain, same guy, into 99, 2000 when you had Tocchet, Tkachuk, Roenick, and they were so close to getting over. Maybe a player like that could have helped them in the bottom of their lineup that they lacked.
We got Leah.
This one's harder for me because I don't have as much of knowledge of like before 2010-ish. And I also my brain went to 2012 because I was just thinking like who can get them over the edge, and for similar reasons than what that you said. I said Lawson Krause.
Oh yeah,
to 2012 because it's also size.
He'd fit on that team.
It's also penalty kill, possibly second power play,
speed,
size.
I like that.
Lawson Krause would be a really good choice,
and he would have fit in the room too.
Would have helped against the Kings in that series.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So
that's a good.
That's
pick.
my choice.
That's a really good pick. All right, so
here's the right ones.
Past,
are these the right picks?
When I went to the past, I also chose a number one setter. I chose Pavel Datsyuk.
You really like read this question and were like,
wow. That's why he wanted to go last.
And if you could take a player from the current Coyotes team and put him on a past Coyotes team, I figured I would beef up their defensive core back in the 2012 playoffs even more by taking Shea Weber.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There you go.
He's right. Because the funny thing is, I was looking for a defenseman back in 99, 2000, back with the Tkachuk year. I was looking for a defenseman that could have gone back and helped because they needed some help on the third pair back then. And there just wasn't a guy that really fit that style of hockey back then. Shea Weber. Shea Weber on
Craig.
2012.
Got to have some fun.
Outsmarted us all.
All right, let's get to our third question. This one comes from Luke Affolter.
It was Luke A in the questions. I'm assuming this is Luke Affolter. If I'm wrong, sorry.
Luke A, at the very least, said, Chris Peters has said before that he doesn't believe the KHL is a good league to develop young players in. With Simashev and Boot being such important prospects for the franchise, are the Coyotes confident their Russian team will put them in situations to develop properly and that their player development department will have enough access to the players given the difficulty of entering the country?
Either of you guys want to weigh in on this one?
Well, the answer is you have no choice. That's where they have to play. But here's what I think. The KHL teams, management, coaches, they don't care. Literally don't care how the guy progresses to play in the National League. Care less. Not important to them. Where you see the CHL and NCAA, and I think they know if their player goes on to play in the NHL, that bodes well for their organization and helps them, for an NCAA team, helps them recruit. I think it helps bring money to teams in the CHL where their players get drafted. So I think there is a bigger eye. They allow those development coaches to come on campus or into the CHL team and help those players. That doesn't happen in the KHL, period. But those players can develop because they're playing in the second best league in the world, meaning they're playing against men every night. They're playing similar to an NHL schedule. They're playing against close to NHL talent as you're going to get, and it's men versus men. This is big boy hockey in the KHL. So if you're playing important minutes with a KHL team, that helps you prepare for playing big minutes here in the NHL. So you look at Kirill Kaprizov, he seemed to do just fine playing against men in that league. I think you are able to step more quickly from the KHL to the NHL once you've played against men for 2 or 3 years.
Leah?
I mean, there's not really more to add than what Petey said from me, but I think, are the Coyotes confident their Russian team will put them in situations? I'm sure that in all of the research that they did with drafting these guys, and when we talked to the scouts and Bill Armstrong at the draft, they did their due diligence with these players. Like you'd have to imagine that they did the due diligence with thinking about that particular situation. So I don't know because I haven't asked them. You might have, but that's just what I think.
A couple of things. First off, and I reached out to Chris. I had a feeling I knew what Chris Peters meant when he said that. The KHL is not a developmental league for the same reason that the NHL is not a developmental league. You are there to win. And if you're not contributing to a winning product, you're probably not going to play that much. So that would be the concern. If Simashev and Daniel Boot, or Danielle Boot, as Simashev himself pronounced it, so maybe that is how we pronounce it.
It's tough.
If they make mistakes and they find themselves riding pine, that's a problem. If you're not playing, then you're not developing. But you're right, Petey. If these guys have any kind of significant role on this team, playing in the KHL is absolutely going to help them develop, because they're playing in a situation that would be very similar to the NHL. You got to perform or you're not going to play. That's what they're going to face in the NHL. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. Yaroslavl, and I remember asking Dave King about this, because our friend Dave King, who knows so much about Russian hockey, having coached over there, having coached in Yaroslavl, he talked about how good their development program is. Actually, there's some KHL programs where it's not good at all, but there are a handful that do it well. And this is one of those programs that at least Dave King thinks does a really good job of development. So you have that in your back pocket, knowing that as well. As far as access, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Yep. Especially, I mean, when you look at where the teams are located, maybe the guys can sneak into Belarus again and catch a game or two, but this is mostly going to be video scouting. And then in terms of touching the players, it's Zoom calls. That's what you're going to have to do. That's the reality for 2 years. But I think they're comfortable with it, and I think they believe enough in the players that they're willing to let that ride for 2 years.
Yeah, they're playing big minutes now.
Yeah.
And so they're only going to play more as they mature and take on a bigger role on their respective teams. I'm not as worried about it. You saw the look on their faces when they got drafted. This is going to be a good place for them, and I'm not too worried about their developing in the K.
Yep. All right. Before we move on to some more mailbag questions, my friend Spencer, I don't know if you're listening or watching, Spencer, comment if you are, sent me a picture yesterday. And he said, if you know, you know. And it was a picture of 2 big margaritas on the bar top at Illegal Pete's.
But it's Margarita Monday was yesterday.
It was, and he was there participating in Margarita Monday.
Okay.
So,
is it Tequila Tuesday?
It's not, but it is Taco Tuesday. I mean, you can make it whatever you want, but it is Taco Tuesday. And Illegal Pete's, listen, it's hot out. You want to cool down, go to Illegal Pete's, kick back and enjoy an ice cold margarita or a bucket of High Noons. This is an amazing deal. 5 High Noons for just $22. And don't forget to follow at Illegal Pete's on Instagram to stay updated on all their big events and deals going down this summer. Stay tuned on their stories to win free tickets to the concerts you're dying to see. Illegal Pete's is here to make this summer one for the books.
What are High Noons?
They're like a canned. Is it like a seltzer? It's like a seltzer.
Okay.
But it's good. They're good. Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously we've had Illegal Pete's for lunch here the last 2 weeks in a row. So
lucky.
So good. Oh, it's just so good.
It is. It's
like,
so good.
That it does not last a day here. Like our staff just devours Illegal Pete's. So
yeah, I came in like day 2 after not having day 1, and they were just like I was eating scraps. It was kind of depressing actually. If you guys had seen it.
But then you can make like nachos kind of with the leftovers.
True.
So
if we had an oven.
It's always something. Sean, obviously part of our show, he's on the D-Backs show as well, and the D-Backs have been struggling, so maybe don't bet on them, or do. You can tune into PHNX Bets Daily at noon to find out. But if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, they have the Swing for the Fences game, which is super fun to play daily. You can pick a area of the strike zone, get a single, double, triple, home run, or pop out, and you can receive a prize that you can use on an MLB bet that within 24 hours. So it's free to play. It's just a boost for you, and I highly recommend checking it out. If you haven't signed up for the app yet, use code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use that bonus code PHNX. You can check out the show notes for full details, and now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
Okay, let's carry on with our Mailbag Tuesday. And we'll go to our next question from Desert Dog 17, who asked, I understand it's time for the Yotes to have to try and take a step forward, but do we really think we bottomed out enough to get the star power we need? Afraid once again it will have to be by committee instead of complimenting stars.
It's a really fair question.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Think.
Well, this is something we've talked about here a lot over the last 2 seasons when we're going into a rebuild, and we always bring up the Taylor Hall, Phil Kessel scenario or the Derek Stepan Antiranta scenario, where at 2 different times this organization was looking to rebuild, gave up assets to improve immediately. The difference this time, and I think it's something important to note, I think their players, they're getting better players this year than they did a year ago. They're not picking up dead contracts to get more draft picks. The difference in the players they're getting right now, they're not giving up future assets to get those players here. So they still have those assets in the cupboards for years to come. Do I think that they are going to finish higher than 5th to last? Probably do. And I think you're looking at what they did last year, 5th to last, 6th to last, all the way up to 10th to last. And I still don't think it's a playoff team. I also believe in GM Bill Armstrong's ability to draft players in other spots than the top 5. I think Logan Cooley is going to be that number 1 pick that they've been waiting for. I think that he redrafts. He is a top 3 for sure, because he was, but I think he's a 1 or a 2. I'm not as worried about it as I was in the other situations where they gave up draft picks and gave up the future to acquire things
Taylor
right
Hall.
now. Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
Because somebody made that comparison in a question that I grouped with this one, saying, is this going to be another Taylor Hall situation? Well, no, they're not giving up really valuable assets. In this case, they're just signing guys. But again, it could push them up standings to the point. I'd like to see the Coyotes get one more really at least elite defensive prospect and one more elite center prospect. I'm not saying, top level like Sidney Crosby level, but I'd like to see them get another really promising prospect at each of those positions. And to do that, you probably got to be like top 6.
Yeah, I think the issue is with this rebuild that they're going through now, like they've really put everything into this being a rebuild, and you kind of have one shot at it right now. And especially with everything else going on with this franchise, with the arena, like you can't really afford to do this, like to start over, to do this again. Like you had to either nail it the first time or work with what you have. And I think this is a work with what you have situation. I agree with Petey that I think Logan Cooley is that top guy finally. There's teams that have been successful and won cups without, St. Louis is the perfect example. We've done a whole show diving into that.
They found a number 1 center via trade, which is so rare, right?
Yeah. And listen,
but it happened.
Yeah, it can happen. So I think, again, the difference is I can't remember, and I wasn't aware of the entire Coyotes history, but I can't really remember a time that the cupboards have been so full with this level of prospect talent and this many assets as well. And it goes back to your point about the lack of assets. Even losing the draft picks is part of the punishment. Like they're finally in a place that they have all those things. And as we do these redrafts that we've been doing, like you can find amazing value at, a 10 or let's say, and maybe that's where the Coyotes are going to be picking next summer, given maybe the little bump they're going to get from these guys that we've mentioned. But
there are players.
Yeah.
The percentages are much lower, but there are players.
Yeah. And I think it's like you just have to have faith in Bill Armstrong. And at this point, like, this is the cards that have been dealt. This is what the staff has done with the cards. And now we'll see. And I think a team can have success without, like, the Connor Bedard level talent, because teams have, like, only one team has Connor McDavid and they haven't won a Stanley Cup. So it's like you can win championships with different makeups of different teams.
Yeah, so you can. Again, though, going back to the teams that won multiple cups.
Yeah, we talked Chicago, Boston, Pittsburgh.
At this point, I just want one, Craig.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's fine.
Give me one.
Well, Patrice Bergeron was a low draft pick, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you found a Patrice Bergeron and won a cup. St. Louis won a cup by somehow getting a number one center that they didn't have, or really two top six centers via trades, which was a crazy way of doing it, but they used assets to acquire it. So maybe that's a possibility, and obviously Bill Armstrong was there. It's possible. It's a lot easier if you can just, if you have luck. And again,
that's what Nicholas said, like the zero lottery luck.
Again, I've said this before, but I get so frustrated with like, oh, look at how great a job the Blackhawks or the Penguins did in building a Stanley Cup champ. No, they didn't. They just got lottery luck. They got the right draft spot in a year when there was a franchise player. There's no great effort that got them there. It's just blind luck that they landed the players that they got, and that led to cups. So let's not celebrate them too much for the team building. If they don't get those players, they're not winning cups.
Yep. All right. And speaking of, I guess, outlook going forward, we'll go to our next question. This one comes from Albert Godleski, and they ask, based on the roster as it stands now, what should realistic expectations be for this year's team?
Leah?
I guess
you start.
Not a playoff team. I know they're better, but better than sixth to last is not playoffs. It's 10th to last. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking lower middle of the pack, if I had to get, not even bubble. I mean, who knows what, like, run the tape on this one when they do that.
I know, exactly.
It's so hard to say because this team always defies every expectation, but realistic, I think, like, the one step below the playoff bubble team. They could have a stretch this season where they go on a run and we're going to think, what is this? Like, should we think about playoffs? And then, like, they're going to crash and burn. That's what I think.
This is hard because so many things fell into place last season for them to get to 70.
Yeah.
I said this was a team that was going to tease the bottom mark of 57 all time for points. I was wrong because they get up to 70, but several players had career years. The goaltending was much higher than expected. This team just had the mullet magic at home. So many things to lead to that. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were a year ago on points. I think they get below 70 points, even with the upgrade in talent. I think it's a lot to ask for, unless they continue. Maybe they're not done. And we talk about Dumba cutting onto this team, because there's my concern, is I think they're going to give up a lot of goals still. I think they'll score more or be on a similar scoring pace than they were a year ago by adding Zucker and Kerfoot, but I am concerned about their ability to stop some of the high-skilled players in this league. And this league is built on superstars, and they're going to have a hard time defending, I think. So I'm concerned. I don't think they finish much higher than they did a year ago.
Okay. I think from a team perspective, a realistic goal would be to try and push for somewhere around the 80-point barrier, to get close to 80 points. That would be a step forward for them from a team perspective. I share some of the same views that you do, Petey, though, and I worry about this back end. They're not starting the season with Shane Gostisbehere and Jacob Chychrun,
right,
even though Jacob Chychrun didn't play all that much. But they're not starting with some of those guys. So you add Zucker and Kerfoot, but you took out other things. I still have concerns about their back end. I wonder if mullet magic will continue into another season, or if teams will have figured that out by then. I don't know. I don't know that this team is markedly better than last season's team. I mean, you can look at the forward group and say, yes, it is. And maybe that core takes another step forward. And that's a big thing to consider here. If Clayton Keller and Lawson Krause and Nick Schmaltz and Barrett Hayton are better, this is going to be a better team. I guess that's the group of players that I'm looking at that will decide, the fate of this team. And I think that's the way Bill Armstrong wants it to. That is his core. You guys will dictate to me what happens next for this team. So it's on their shoulders.
And the other wild card too, Craig, is Andre Tourigny. And he's shown that his ability to coach players up to and exceed their expectations and where their bar is set has been proven. And honestly, after talking to him at the ice den over the development camp, I would never bet against the guy. So to the fans that think, is this a playoff team? Gosh, it's so hard to make the playoffs in this league that I'm not sure they can. But there are going to be moments this year where you go, maybe. I agree with Leah. I think we're going to go through stretches and go, gosh, they're going to tease us. They'll tease us into Christmas. And then I just don't think they have the horses. But don't bet against Andre Tourigny.
Ogie said 75 points. So we'll see. And I do think that like the over-under line set at the beginning of the season by the sports books are really interesting. So we'll have to pay attention to what BetMGM has their point total set at. Okay, next question. This one's from Bill Brasky. And he asks, now that the Atlanta Gladiators have aligned with someone else, what other existing ECHL teams are still looking for NHL affiliates? Also, do you think the number of draft choices the Yotes have coming up will make it more important to have an ECHL partner?
I think there's only one person can answer this question. I think it's Craig.
No, that's fine. Like all of the existing ECHL teams have affiliates. There's 28 of them, and they're all affiliated. So there are 4 teams. There are 4 teams. Yeah, but Lake Tahoe comes online in not next season, but the season after. They expect to announce an affiliation in February, so that's a possibility. But when you ask Bill, do I think that the number of draft choices the Coyotes have coming up will make it more important to have an ECHL partner? No, because teams by and large don't use the ECHL for their prospects.
It's goalies.
It's usually goalies. Like if you're looking for an extra slot, you've got 3 prospects all at the pro level. You don't have a net for all of them. So sometimes you put that third guy in the ECHL. If you look at the Coyotes system right now, they've got 2 AHL goalies, then a bunch of prospects that are either going back to juniors, going back to Europe, or going to college. They don't have that guy where they need an ECHL affiliate right now. I don't know if they're going to pursue Lake Tahoe yet. I know they're pursuing a number of things. They're talking about a number of things. My suspicion, at least for this season, is they'll just loan players out if they need to do that for the ECHL. And you can do that. You're allowed to loan them to existing ECHL franchises.
Yeah, one of the things that the advantage for teams, why would teams do that? Well, they get a good player that's trying to develop and you don't have to pay them. And so that's one of the reasons you'd want to take another player on. I agree with Craig. I don't think with their top draft picks playing in the K and in the NCAA, I just don't know where they'd get the player pool.
Right. And it's interesting, Bill's opinion on this too, because you look at some of the Eastern teams, they really do believe that there's a model that can work for the ECHL. There are teams that are more invested in putting some of their players in the ECHL. Bill Armstrong's not one of those guys. He's not a big believer in the need for an ECHL franchise other than, as we mentioned, if you have a goalie that you need to get some reps.
I just think so. I just think Lake Tahoe would be cool.
It would be really cool. And
Yeah.
I would absolutely want to go up there and do a story.
Let's go.
All
We
right,
could have
to do a
bummer.
story for a show
boy,
from there.
We would have to. Come
Yes,
on.
we would.
Yeah. So we will see how that progresses. And okay, well, we are flying through these. I'm impressed with us. We have a couple more, and then we have Trivia Tuesday. But first, it is Tuesday, of course. And if you are a teacher and you're not back to school already, like the teachers at Craig's kids' school who are already back at work, which is crazy. I know school goes back soon. So teachers, while you're still off, go to the 8th Street Pub, the 4 Peaks 8th Street Pub, bring your teacher ID, because every Tuesday, I think this might be the last week actually, because it's through July, bring a valid teacher ID, receive $4 pints of Kit Lifter, Wow, Hazy, and Hopknot. It's Teacher Tuesday. So check it out. We love 4 Peaks. You can buy 4 Peaks wherever you buy your beer. You can try the 8th Street Pub as well. So check out at 4 Peaks Brew or at 4 Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink 4 Peaks, and please drink responsibly. And speaking of responsible usage, our friends at OG's, if you haven't tried OG's either, check them out. I mean, we've been talking all about the pink lemonade gummies and how delicious they are, but I don't want it to get lost that the mixed bags of the fruits and the creams are so worth a try. The flavors are amazing. There's something for everyone. The fruits, the watermelon, red apple, peach, the creams, blackberries and cream, orange creamsicle, peaches and cream, pink lemonade, all of it. There's something for everyone. As I mentioned, indica, sativa, sleep, microdose, whatever need you have, OG's has something for you in a delicious flavor. So get your gummies while you can. Check out OG's online at ogsbrands.com and on Instagram at OG's Brands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. Must be 21 years or older to purchase. Okay, let's move on to our next mailbag question. This one comes from Jay Blay. I'm just going to say it
Jay
that way.
Blay. I don't know how to. I'm sorry.
I like saying Jay Blay. J-B-L-E-Y. You can,
works.
Yeah, Jay Blay. Should we expect to see another trade or two to get draft capital and get a big contract, i.e. Voracek, Little, Weber, etc.? Bill Armstrong certainly loves to zig when others zag.
I'm going to say no. And Bill's made it pretty clear that they're past the point of taking on bad contracts to acquire draft capital. They've got a ton of draft capital. The next 3 drafts, I think they have 12 picks in the first 2 rounds overall for the next 3 drafts. So they've got a lot of draft capital. I would not say never, however. If somebody comes with an offer to take on a big contract that blows their socks off, and we're not talking about, a second-round pick like they've taken in the past. They're not going to do that anymore. It would have to be a really big offer for them to be willing to do that with another bad contract. So by and large, I think they've moved past that era of the rebuild.
Yeah, and I agree. But you look at the cap space that this team has right now, and they've got so much dead money on their books as we speak. I have a hard time believing, even with the cap moving up, that they're going to try to take on any more of those contracts right now.
Yeah,
Anything?
I don't really have anything more to add than that. So we will move on to our next question.
Our final one.
Which is really fun. This one comes from Nick Fraley, who asks, if the Coyotes were to get a second mascot, what would you want it to be and what would you want it to be named? And I'm upset because before the Vegas Golden Knights had Chance, I think a Gila Monster would have been a really good one.
Yeah.
But
I do.
Chance is taken, so I can't go Gila Monster. And we have the Roadrunner down in Tucson.
Can't do that.
Can't do him either.
Which
Dusty.
would be perfect because it's a Coyote
I
and a
know,
Roadrunner.
and they could do so much shtick around the arena.
Yeah, they could chase each other.
Good.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
But no.
Do you have an idea for
Well,
this
there's
one?
a couple.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, I think we'll steal one from the lacrosse. I like the menacing fear that a scorpion puts into someone's eyes. I don't know what the nickname would be for the scorpion, but I think it's just scary.
Sting.
I think you Stinger?
Sting.
Oh, yeah, like the band thing.
Yeah.
I like that. I just
Or
think
the
they're
lacrosse
scary.
team.
People are scared of them. Like, can you imagine like just all the videos you can make with the stare thing? Or we would have a sandstorm and call him Booby. The Habooby. I mean, Dusty is the natural, but they already have Dusty down in Tucson.
Max just walked
They
in.
already have Dusty down in Tucson, so you can't call him Dusty, so you call him Booby.
I'm still going to read mine after yours, Leah, but I'm all on board the Sandstorm Booby
Sandstorm Booby.
mascot.
And then he could be for the
I feel like
Desert
that's
Knights
what
when
it
they
has
come
to
out.
be
He
now.
could be the Sandstorm
Booby.
and just spin around and Booby.
He just constantly runs around like Mullet Arena on the concourse. Just
Better be
runs.
really careful with how you shape him, though. I'm just saying.
Wow, can you say that?
Okay, I was trying to think of like other Arizona creatures, and the only one that I can come up with is a javelina. So
What's the name?
Like a piggy.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind it.
I know javelinas are technically rodents.
We
and
might have to have a name the javelina mascot if Piggy doesn't stick.
I don't know if that's
Please?
I like the idea of
Chime in with
javelina.
your
Javelina is a
ideas.
cool animal.
Yeah. And then they charge it, like the mascot will randomly charge
They
at
move
you.
in. Do you know what a group? Do you know what a group of javelinas is called?
A booby.
It's called a squadron.
Is it
How about
really?
that?
Is that true?
That's metal.
That's true.
That goes crazy.
Oh my God. Please chime in with your ideas.
I feel like they just need an agent of chaos, like Gritty, like not
Yes.
a nondescript
Brilliant.
creature of sorts that just.
so hard
I
though,
think
right?
Ruby would
Like,
be perfect.
Wouldn't you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
feel like
Ruby's
you were
good.
copying Gritty at this point?
Gritty copied the Philly Fanatic. He just.
but Gritty
But
did
it's
it to
already
Gritty's
within
world.
Philly. It's
That
not-
is true.
It's Gritty's world.
Javier the
agree.
javelina.
I mean, I feel like we just need a desert dog. like a-
Sidewinder the rattlesnake.
Just a desert dog to go
Yeah.
along with the coyote?
Yeah.
Right.
All right, what did you have?
Mine was lame. I like the crescent moon, and I want to see them do more with it. So I had a moon mascot, and I named him Keith Moon for the former Who drummer.
That's bad.
But there's also Keith Kachuk. There's also Keith Yandel.
Keith.
Yeah.
Keith.
And then I even
the
admitted
new
it myself.
mascot in the back of
Probably
the jersey
not.
just says Keith.
But
That's
I like
bad.
the idea of it being a moon, like
Just
Like,
a big
you
ball
know
that
the
swung
yeah,
around.
like-
Remember Peter Puck?
like like a big,
Yeah.
just a big
So just have a
circle.
big-
And you know, like the meme of the moon with like the smile on its face, like that's what its face would be. Yeah,
name is
It looked
just
like
really
the moon
cringe.
from Bear in the Big Blue House.
He's like Howler's like buddy that everyone's like, oh yeah, there's Keith. Like, hi Keith.
Oh no.
Oh boy. All right. Well, that concludes Mailbag Tuesday. Thank you to everyone, all 71 of you
Yeah,
who
seriously.
asked
Well,
Craig's question.
not 71, really, because
Yes.
5 of you cheated.
But there was a first with this mailbag, Craig.
There was. This is cool, actually. There were more questions from Discord than there were from Twitter. This is the first time this has happened since I came to PHNX. And that tells me that the diehards are growing.
Yep.
That really speaks volumes to me about how this community has grown. As you know, we are all about community. The community is growing, and it should grow more. You know why? Because we're going to have even more diehard content. Petey is going to create even more diehard content.
We'll see. Petey's
What do you
actually.
mean we'll see?
Good sales pitch.
I'm
Petey.
technically working on some of that supplemental content for the Discord right now.
Yeah, if you've seen him just being on his computer,
Yeah, I'm
he's
not paying attention.
bored, but he's actually working.
Because can we tell him? Is this a thing?
Yeah.
That we can say it?
Go ahead.
So we're going to try something new with our Discord, and PHNX has decided to try it with the hockey Discord, the Coyote Discord. So
Petey's the
I'm the guinea pig.
The guinea pig.
Tomorrow night, which is Wednesday, right? Wednesday tomorrow, 6 p.m. tomorrow, Arizona time. 6 p.m. We're going to have a little town hall in the Discord. Don't know how it works. I don't need to.
We know how it works. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Leah knows how to work. She's going to
I know
help
how it works,
moderate
too.
it. But if you're belong to the Discord here at PHNX, members only, you get a peek behind the curtain. We're working on a few different behind the scenes stories of the way things really happened.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of talk and discussion about when they hired Rick Tocchet as the head coach. We might tell a story on how that really happened because I was there. And then we're going to do some video breakdowns. We're going to watch some video, which
So
I'm
it's
doing
Petey's
now.
Puck Talk is
It's
really
Petey's Puck
it's
Talk.
It's a Petey's Puck Talk live.
at 6 p.m.
Arizona time.
Arizona
on Wednesday. So
and then
be
a little
there.
Q&A.
Be there or be.
And a little Q&A.
Yep. So
I
And
love
I
it.
may
I
drink-
love this.
I may have to drink during.
that's fine.
Because I'm intimidated by some of the people on our Discord. They're very knowledgeable people, and they're going to...
We do have knowledgeable people.
Please don't argue with me.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow night, 6 p.m. If you're not a diehard and you're thinking this sounds really interesting, become a diehard today. It's perfect timing for this new thing we're unrolling here. Lots of perks to becoming a diehard, such as access to our Discord and now these Discord hangouts that we're going to start doing, live interactive events, obviously access to the weekly diehard only content such as Craig's mailbag today on the website. You get 20% off events, 20% off merch, a free hat or shirt when you sign up, and every year after as you renew. So just tons of great perks. A Dobson Ranch card, $50 voucher to Mountain Mike's Pizza. It really pays for itself. So join our family and become a diehard today. And of course, check out the PHNX locker to grab the best Arizona sports gear around. And you can rock that gear around town. And when you stop inside a Circle K to pick up a Polar Pop, which I highly recommend, stay hydrated. Like, I think we all think you can't just drink the same amount of water you normally do, because it's just hot. So drink more than you think, get a Polar Pop, go inside, grab a couple snacks, and keep on the lookout for PHNX personalities on the screen. Sean's been spotted, Sel's been spotted, Lindsay's been spotted.
Leah's been spotted.
I don't know if I've been spotted anymore. Nobody's reached out, but it's fine. I had my time in the sun. So make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff. Right now, text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K near you. All right, last segment of the day. It is Tuesday, which means it's Trivia Tuesday, which means that Petey's gone, I've gone, and now
I got the controls.
it's Craig's turn. So, without further ado, if we're ready, Sean, give me, maybe not.
I don't know what the music is.
Okay, that's fine. It's we'll just go without it.
Okay.
Okay. It's Trivia Tuesday. We can still show the intro card though.
Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Hold on. Great stuff, you know. There we go. It's Trivia Tuesday with your host, Craig S. Morgan, not the country singer. All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trivia Tuesday.
I'm scared.
I'm your host, Craig Morgan, here with Leah Merrill and Steve Peters and Sean DePaz. And let's get right to it, shall we? I'm going to start you guys off with a softball for Trivia Tuesday. The first question, we're going to bounce around Coyotes history, but the overall theme is off-season transactions, off-season acquisitions.
Okay.
So let's go with number one. Are you guys ready?
Glasses.
This 2018 free agent signing is the only player since 2010 to score 6 shorthanded goals in 2 or more NHL seasons.
Michael
Can you
Grabner.
Michael Grabner?
You are correct. Michael Grabner.
Nice. Woo!
Who has promised us, by the way, he's going to be on the show in August. So
Let's
now
go.
I put it out there, Grab, so you have to show up. Let's go to question number 2.
Oh,
my
my God. Jesus. Typical writer.
This UFA signing
Paid
and
by the
close
word.
friend of a Coyotes legend, whom he never played with in Arizona, had 7 straight seasons of 27 or more goals and 6 of 30 or more before signing a 4-year, $24 million deal in Phoenix, where he set a then career low
God, of
with
course.
13 goals.
Let's see.
Phil Kessel?
Mm.
Signing a 4-year,
Close
24.
friend of a Coyotes
We should
legend.
get like Jeopardy
Yeah.
waiting music.
So in Phoenix, where he set a then a career low with 13 goals. Yusuf, signing and close friend of a Coyotes legend. So who's Shane Doan's good friend?
4-year, $24 million deal.
Does Shane Doan have a good friend?
I'm sure he does.
He has lots of them. He knows
Brad
everyone.
Richardson.
Can you give us
I'm
an
trying to
idea
think
who's good friend? Like who is the good
Jeremy
friend?
Roenick.
Jeremy Roenick's good friend.
Oh,
Michael
this
Gardner.
feels like a little bit before my time.
Signing a 4-year, 24.
It's not Phil Ogie. We already tried.
And it wasn't Brett Hall. Tony Monte.
Tony Monte is the correct
I
answer.
never would have known.
Or
I don't even know
Blackhawk.
who that is.
Lit it up with the Blackhawks and came here and was...
Oh, Rudy got it. Nice job.
Very nice.
Gotta go, Rudy.
Very nice job.
All right.
No Googling, folks. No
I'm
Googling.
I'm not.
No, not you.
Oh,
We're watching
the chat,
you too.
The chat.
Watching.
Okay.
Wow, that was a good one.
All
So
right.
He's got a theme of free agent
Question
signings.
number 3 in our theme of offseason acquisitions. This
Oh,
2004 trade acquisition is one of just 8 Coyotes to reach the 30-goal plateau. He is also the only one to marry a 7-time Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards winner.
Whoa. 2004. I didn't even live in Arizona. Okay. Let me think about the Nickelodeon thing. That might help.
I know, that's what I'm trying to go to too. That's what threw me. Somebody won an awards on
But who else
Like
has the
Deion
30?
7 times.
Who else has a 30-goal plateau?
a Kid Choice Award could be anything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an actor or actress necessarily. It could be
It could be a
another-
singer.
Could be a singer, could be an athlete.
Come on. 2004? I didn't know.
Think of like people who've scored 30 goals.
Oh! Comrie?
Somebody got it.
Charles!
Mike Comrie.
Mike Comrie!
Atta go,
CWP with
CWP.
Mike Comrie.
Hillary Duff.
That is the correct answer.
He
and
did-
for a bonus, who did he marry?
Hillary Duff.
Correct. Hillary Duff.
I knew that
Wow.
one. I knew that part.
I'd go
Charles.
CWP, and if you Googled, then we're not.
Yeah,
cheering for you.
If you Googled it,
I don't think he did. I trust him.
we're going to trust you
Wow.
guys not to Google
That's
it.
really good.
I
That
got at least
threw
I
me.
got the Hillary Duff part.
I was thinking of Dion Phaneuf with he didn't he marry the girl from 24? Remember the Canadian actress girl?
Mike
I don't-
Fisher married
Carrie Underwood.
Yep, Carrie Underwood. There's
Wow.
some connections there. All right, let's go to question number 4,
married
Sean.
Heidi.
This 2010 trade acquisition was, at the time, the only Polish-born player in Coyotes history
Oh.
before Arizona selected Maximilian Zuber in the 6th round
Zuber
of the
was born in
2022
Poland?
NHL draft.
Oh wait, I think I did. Oh, what's his name? Wojciech Wolski.
Oh,
Wojciech Wolski is the answer.
Oh, Leah Merrill. Nice.
Wojciech Wolski.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
All right.
That'd
We
go,
are on to
Leah.
our 5th and final question before we hit the bonus question. All right?
That's a really good one.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm
This
fired up
veteran
now.
D-man came to the Coyotes along with a promising young D prospect and a 2022 second-round pick in exchange for just a 2023 7th
This veteran
round
D-man
pick.
came to the Coyotes along with a promising young D prospect and a 2024 second-round pick in exchange for a 2023 7th-round draft pick.
This was recent then.
Oh, yeah, really recent.
Why can't I think
Who did they get? So it's got to be
Veteran
this.
D-man. Who's a veteran D-man?
Well, Brown is the real only. So I'll go Josh Brown.
That
No,
is
he wouldn't have
incorrect.
got. He wouldn't have got a second round.
Leah,
pick
do you
for
have
Josh
a
Brown.
guess?
guess? Let me think. Let me read it again in my head. But somebody else talk while I'm reading it. So there's no dead.
Yeah.
Don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen.
Somebody got it?
No, nobody has it yet.
Oh.
But somebody might be Googling it right
Yeah,
now.
I don't want to Google it. This veteran D man came to the Coyotes along with a promising young D prospect and a 20. So it's got to be somebody in the last 3 years.
Yeah, but I feel like I should know this.
Gostisbehere didn't bring that that was a bag of pucks.
No, he got nothing.
Got nothing and liked it.
They gave up nothing for him.
Yeah, and a second-round pick exchange for a 7th-round pick. So, Gostisbehere, any other big D-men that they got? Nemeth? No. Before that?
Why don't I know this? I feel so dumb.
No, you want the answer?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. Put it up. The answer is Anton
Oh,
Strawman.
G got it. Oh, and Luke got it. Okay, but I didn't see. I forgot about him. Sorry.
All right. The bonus question is difficult. Okay. Leah, I wouldn't expect you to know this. Petey,
watch me get it.
I'm really going to test you here.
All right.
Here's the bonus question. This 1997 draft pick is one of 2 9th-round picks in Coyotes history to play more than 200 NHL games.
Well, the other one was Dan Winnick.
You had him on the show. It's not Daniel Winnick. Who is the other one?
No, Daniel Winnick was on the show.
You had Daniel Winnick on the show.
So this is the
other
other
player has not been on the show, but he is the only other 9th-round pick in Coyotes history.
In Coyotes history to play more than 200
NHL games.
Could you give us a position that he played?
He's a forward.
He's a forward. Okay, so that doesn't help for shit. Trevor Letowski wouldn't have been that late, and he was the wrong year.
7th-round pick, I think.
The wrong year,
Letowski
too. He was the year before. He was in 96. 97 would have been the year after Danny Briere.
I got
and
nothing.
How many games did he play? Did he play many of them with the Coyotes?
He did.
Dan Vogt, forward. No. Danny Briere, no. Isbister? No, he'd have been before that. Is there any other hints? Does anybody got it?
Boy, I don't know.
Where else did they go on to play?
Oh, okay, I can tell you.
Yeah, give me that.
Nashville, the Islanders, the Wild, the Avalanche.
Jesus Christ.
Suitcase. Come on, chat. Help us out.
Played a lot of AHL
but don't
games
Google.
Too.
Steven Reinprecht, he wasn't drafted by them. They played for a lot of those teams. Craig, I don't know.
You want the answer?
Yeah, I do.
The answer is Wyatt Smith.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
From where? Do you know where Wyatt Smith's
Minnesota?
from? Minnesota.
Why do you think I put him in the bonus?
God damn it. I liked Wyatt Smith. Good kid.
Okay, that was a good
Craig.
trivia. Thanks,
I like
Craig.
the category too. Trades and signings. I liked it.
I like
really
it.
good.
I like that each one kind of has a theme. Yeah.
I liked it.
Sean, you got next? Buffalo Sabres adjacent Coyotes.
Do I have next?
I don't know. Do you want to?
If you want me to, I can.
Yeah, and I would do Buffalo Sabre adjacent. I like that.
I can do that.
You don't have to, but I'm putting you on the
if
spot.
you want me to. I'm absolutely down.
Do you know where Wyatt Smith was born, by the way, Petey?
I
You know which
don't.
town?
I don't.
Thief River
Thief
Falls.
River Falls.
There you go.
That's a
sounds
Section
like a
18,
made-up
northern
place.
Minnesota. It's an hour and a half from Bemidji, Thief River Falls.
Wow.
Huh. Did not
All
know
right.
that.
Well, that was Trivia Tuesday. That was Mailbag Tuesday, and I think that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you to everybody who participated in the chat for trivia, who participated in Craig's mailbag to help create more discussion on this show today. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit the thumbs up. Give us a like. It really means a lot to us. And if you're listening on audio, be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter. It's still Twitter, at SPeters Hockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, and at Sean_DePaz. Follow the show at PHNX Coyotes. We are here tomorrow, live at 11 a.m. with a special guest. Sun Devil hockey head coach Greg Powers will be joining us in studio.
Another goalie.
So, yep, as always. So looking forward to that one. And yeah, we're here Monday through Friday, every day at 11 a.m. all throughout the off season. So join us. Block it off on your calendar, make that your lunch at work, and we look forward to chatting with everybody tomorrow. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye.